Hello, everybody. My name is ct-dax, and welcome to the first episode of our podcast. I am joined by the one, the only, the Oni. Introduce yourself, buddy.
What's up? Like you said, I'm Oni. I'm the rookie for now. We'll kind of like try and level me up as the process goes.
Yeah. So basically, what we're doing here, guys, is we are jumping in. Basically, we're going to do a discussion. We're going to go through and learn about Warhammer 40K in a nutshell. I know a little bit more than him. But we're going to go through it together and to see just how dank and dirty this whole universe is, because, you know, why not?
Ooh, that's the first way I'm hearing about it. Dank and dirty. I like that.
Yes. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cough. Always seems to bug me. But, so, Oni, how much of 40K do you know?
Believe it or not much. Mostly, it's like little tidbits about what, factions of Space Marines there are, the hierarchy, all that kind of stuff. Believe it or not, I don't know anything about where it began at all.
Perfect, because that's where we're going to start. So, both of us now, we have the information in front of us, and we're going to basically go through each sort of paragraph, maybe a paragraph each or something, and have just a sort of general discussion and like just what we sort of think about it. And so here we go. This is our first time trying this, and hopefully it doesn't implode. So, I suppose I'll go first. So we got the pre-human history, the birth of the star gods, way back at the beginning. So we have the birth of the entities, later known as the star gods, occurred at the same time as the moment of creation itself, as they formed the vast, insensate, or whatever that is, energies. The first energies.
First energies, okay.
First unleashed by the churning mass of cataclysmic force. Oh, I get what they mean. So, like, when the universe went kaboom, they released their own kind of energy with it.
So like their own technically like expansion of the Big Bang.
I think so. I think that's what it means.
It seems like it.
Oh, by the way, if our interpretation is wrong, which it probably will be a lot, down there in the comments, scream at us.
Yes, I mean, the only way for us to learn is to be told. So, if you've got any information, please, I mean, I'm going to read them as well, so.
Yeah. So we get that cataclysmic force is being unleashed in the universe, and the star gods are created. In that anarchic interweaving of matter and energy, the sea of stars began to swell into existence, and for an eon, the universe was nothing more than hot hydrogen gas and light elemental dust ruled over by the gravitic force of billions of newborn suns.
So technically it is just basically their Big Bang.
Essentially, yeah. So I think what they're implying by this is like the gods were more prior or primordial sort of energies that sort of existed amongst all the hot gas.
Yeah, so they were like another thing that was created when it was all born.
And
then they kind of just formed.
That or just like over the eons, they slowly developed into consciousness. Who knows?
Yeah.
Do you want to take the next paragraph?
Sure, I'll take it.
Go for it.
Long before the first planets had formed and cooled, the very first truly self-aware beings emerged into the universe. Their thoughts are encased within the lines of force produced by the plasma and electromagnetic flares of the stars themselves. In later times, these entities would become known as the Catan or Catan?
Yeah, the Catan, yeah.
Catan. Oh, okay, cool. But early in their existence, they were nothing like the malevolent beings that would eventually become. So technically, like Catan, the Catan are gods in a way, like the higher deities. Okay.
Yeah. So we got the creation of everything, and then these things slowly formed a time, got consciousness, and then way later they were known as Satan.
Right, okay, so that's because they were named later down the line. All right,
yeah.
Cool. They were little more than monstrous energy parasites that sucked upon the solar energies of the stars that had brought them into existence, shortening their lives of otherwise main sequence stars by millions of standard years. Damn. Okay, so born and breastfed practically from stars. but
Pretty
taking like,
much.
the star's lifespan.
Which is, to think about how much energy a sun has, is billions and billions of years of energy and hydrogen and gas.
And these guys are just siphoning off by millions at a time.
Yeah, so the
Holy shit.
ungodly amount, ironically, ungodly amounts of power.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to fathom that much energy being used by just a creature itself, because most of the time we haven't even harnessed much. I mean, we've harnessed a little bit of solar rays for solar panels, and these guys are sucking the energy out of a star by millions of years. Like we're using, it's taking thousands of years just to get here so we can harness the bloody thing.
Yeah.
And these guys are just like, hey, it's breakfast time. Just slurp. There goes a million years of that stuff.
Pretty much.
Hang around for a bit. That's nuts. I didn't think that there. I thought, like, obviously, because my thought of Warhammer was obviously, the Emperor being like a god and stuff like that. But like, knowing that there was something technically like.
Well, ironically, we're going to get to that a bit later, but the Emperor isn't actually a god.
Is he actually? Oh, okay.
No. And when we do get to it, you'll actually find this hilarious. The Emperor, when he was actually running around as flesh and blood, absolutely fucking hated religion.
And then created a religion about himself. No, he didn't. Oh, no, so...
We'll get to that, but basically, the religion happened towards, like, the end of his life and afterwards. But even though he's still technically alive, he's just a living skeleton.
Well, yeah, I did hear about that. It doesn't mean that his his psychic energy is lacking in any capacity, though.
Yeah. So there's a whole rabbit hole we'll get to down there, because
that's also the other reason he's on the throne is because of the Horus Heresy, isn't it?
Yes, that's actually correct. Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's like the little tidbits that I know. I know about the Horus Heresy and like where the factions kind of fell under. And we're only just around the Space Marines.
Basically, if he leaves that throne, Earth itself will be basically pulled into a black hole.
That I did not know. That's very scary. So
basically what happened during all that time was very, very, very bad. And that's why they have to, even though he's on the throne keeping Earth safe, or Terra, they have to sacrifice about 1,000 psychic people a day to him to keep him energized, to keep it going.
So
literally every day 1,000 people die to keep this thing running.
So okay. What confuses me is that obviously the homeworld of the Emperor is Terra. That's where he created the first Space Marines, and practically in the basement of Terra.
Yes.
But is Terra, so Terra is Earth?
Yes.
But it's just named differently.
Well, technically, Terra is actually the name of Earth. Is
Terra actually Earth is kind of cool.
Yeah, Terra actually means Earth.
Oh,
that's a lot of people don't even think about that anymore. Our planet right now is actually Terra, but everyone calls it Earth. Actually, funnily enough, on the side note, I'm considering the name Terra for my daughter.
Side note, I was wondering about what you're going to name your daughter.
Well, we got 7 names at the moment, but there's something about it, like, it's a very sort of grounding, down to earth sort of name, but at the same time, you couldn't get any more Australian. This is my little Terra. I don't know.
True.
There's something is ringing to me about it. I don't know. Got to convince the wife on that one, but
I mean, I like it. It's got a ring to it.
Yeah. There was Terra, the superhero as well.
True.
Ran around with Beast Boy. All right, so we better get back into this because we went way off the track.
T-E-R-A, though. Terra.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the Earth bitch. But anyway, way off track. Woo! Left field.
So I'll take the next one. So you did that one. All right, third one. In time, these star vampires learn to move along the lines of the universe's electromagnetic flux, leaving their birthplaces to drift through the cosmic ether to new stellar feeding grounds and begin their cycle of stellar destruction once more. Beings of pure energy, they paid no mind to the hunks of solid matter they passed in the vacuum of space. The blazing geothermal fires and weak geomagnetic fields of these nascent planets insufficient to be worth feeding on even their ravenous hunger. Okay, so not only were they hungry, they were greedy as well.
So, Right. So I'm assuming we're gonna catch what technically happens if they are they still around?
The Catan?
Yeah.
Technically, yes. But
Like,
that's another rabbit hole, which is actually
okay.
which is really fun and tied to the Necrons.
Oh.
Because they really piss them off.
Oh, okay.
But also,
Noted.
you'll when we get to the Necrons, you understand why the fuck they are so powerful and why a lot of them are asleep.
So sleep mode, the normal sleep mode thing.
Yeah.
Because they're all usually shut down. Okay. I mean, I was wondering. I thought it was just some sort of like computer thing. When it's not being used, save processing power. Fucking shut them down.
No, they quite literally are very, very old. And the whole point was to go to sleep to basically wait out their enemies.
So technically, Necrons aren't computers; they're organic machines.
No, to my understanding, they're like sort of like nano machines, but they were organic.
Oh, okay.
Which I suspect I haven't read too much further because I'm enjoying sort of the reaction to it, but I'm pretty sure we'll get to it very soon of what the sedan sort of did to the Necrons.
Okay. I mean, from what I'm guessing, a lot of the Warhammer universe is just pissing each other off.
Yes, that's the most apt description. Who's more pissed off at who?
That's a good. I think that's pretty. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's see who's more pissed off and who had the better comeback on what happened.
All right. So you want to take the old ones?
The old ones. Okay. Just as the stars gave birth to their children, so the planets of the newborn Milky Way galaxy eventually gave birth to the light forms corresponding, or composed of matter, which began the long evolutionary climb of self-awareness. Humans. Our ancestors, technically.
Oh, way before us. This is like early Milky Way. Like we're a speck in the Milky Way.
Okay. So this is like, all right. Yeah, that makes sense. The first intelligent beings of the galaxy known to have developed a civilization technologically advanced enough to cross the stars was a reptilian species of beings known, later called the Old Ones by the Eldari. Ooh, I think I know the Eldari. Which one's the Eldari again?
The elves.
That's the one. Who knew them best of all their creations? Oh, so the Old Ones created the Eldari?
I'm pretty sure they did. I knew it was one of the guys, but I never knew which name it was that made the Eldari.
So the Eldari was created by the reptilian species, Old Ones.
And I'm pretty sure the Old Ones, I think they're kind of like frog people. Because I've seen it. Because I haven't seen anything about it in 40K, but in the Warhammer Fantasy, I've seen references to the Old Ones, and they're sort of like frog reptile type people.
Okay.
So I don't know if they look the same.
Yeah, but like the first thing when you said that popped into my head, it was you played the Jedi game,
Which one?
Newest one. I think it was the newest one. With the little frog dude.
Oh yeah.
That's the first thing that popped in my head. Okay, you say the next one.
The Old Ones possessed a slow, cold-blooded, but still deep wisdom, having long studied the stars and raised astronomy and physics to such a level that their science and technology appear now to humanity like an arcane art. Their understanding of the workings of the universe was such that they could manipulate alternate dimensions and undertake great works of psychic engineering. Do you want me to just take the next one too?
Yeah, go for it.
The Old Ones were potent psychers who routinely used the powers of the warp for a wide variety of technological applications. This included the construction of a system of instantaneous fast-and-light portals through warp space. These portals connected all of the Old Ones' colony worlds, allowing them to cross vast gulfs of space with only a single step through the myriad warp gates they built to connect the worlds of the galaxy. This was a vast interdimensional network, much like the webway of today, in which its direct descendants, though on a much larger and more advanced scale.
Okay, so
there's a lot to digest there.
So what I've taken from that is psychics. Obviously, the psychics are technically people with very, very strong psychic connections, the ability to move shit, or have like psychic abilities.
Yes.
However, what is kind of jumping out at me, and this is probably because we played the Warhammer Space Marines 2.
Yep.
When they say the warp, isn't the warp technically chaos?
Well, see, that's the fun thing. I haven't gone super down deep the rabbit hole of the warp, but what I understand the warp is basically the warp is kind of like an alternate dimension to ours, almost like a parallel, but it's like matter antimatter. So if anything from our side touches their side, we're smoked, just instantly vaporized.
The old ones technically use they harness psychic powers routinely by using the power of the warp.
Yeah, so
so that's technically how they just the jump drives, really.
Yeah, so
faster than light portals.
For like a lot of spaceships, whatnot, they use like psychic energies, from what I understand, to sort of surround the ship with kind of like a matter energy field, so they can go into the warp and they won't just be immediately destroyed.
And then just technically like pop out right where they want to.
Kind of, yeah. It's a little bit weird. I'll when we get to it, like we'll get to the whole rabbit hole of the warp itself. But this is a good way for us to get the intro of what we're sort of getting into.
And then the network is databased as the webway.
Yes. So the web
is technically like a kind of like an internet webway of like, but it's like antimatter and like different realms.
Kind of. So basically,
everywhere.
You have the warp, right? So basically, it's like almost like antimatter to us, and inside the warp is a small section. That's where chaos hangs out. So quite literally, in a parallel dimension, there's a corner over here. That's hell.
Which is technically what the word bearers went into to hide.
Yes.
They went into the warp.
Right? Yes. Now, the webway, that's kind of like the back alleys of the warp, from my understanding. So you sort of, it's very similar to like parallel travel, but nowhere near as dangerous.
Oh.
You can go into the webway, you can interact with things, and you don't just disappear in a puff of smoke.
Oh, okay. So it's like a safer way of using the warp.
Yes.
Cool.
So technically, the Drukhari, I believe, they live in a section of the webway. Like their entire race lives in like just one big city, so it's like super difficult to get to.
Unless you know how, which they obviously do.
Only some things do, and they don't live very long.
True.
But yeah, so there's a lot of fun stuff. Like that's why we're gonna need like episodes just like to go on each sort of subject. But I'm happy to touch on everything for this first one. We get our groundwork in.
Yeah. I am in agreement. I mean, from what I'm learning, I'm getting a decent history of like where it's starting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and now in my head, I'm just creating those pathways on how they're connected. But that's also just me trying to create the pathways on how they're connected of what I know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, it's probably going to explain a lot more with what is actually happening when I see it.
Yeah, that's why it's a very brief sort of touching on everything, so we have a basic idea. So when we go in depth on things, it's related to that thing or that thing.
Well, it makes more sense.
All right, so I just read the old ones were potent selectors, I believe.
Yep, I've got the next one.
Go for it.
Although this network, this network, the old ones spread their spawn to many places of the galaxy, but they also knew that all life was precious. Okay, so these guys were technically nice. They liked life.
Yeah.
Okay, they were where they passed. They seeded new intelligent species and reshaped thousands of worlds to make them their own, according to their premeditated environment and predetermined environment and geographic criteria. So technically, they jumped from world to world, terraforming to build them.
See, these guys weren't very Star Trek-y. They started sort of just expanding out and then started seeding life everywhere. Like, we're going to help all these worlds and help the galaxy grow, and then we can see what they're going to do.
It's really funny that them in this entire dark fantasy world, there's actually something decent.
Not for
Like
long.
that from all the story, yeah, from all the stories I know of.
Anything
No,
nice
nothing
dies.
good. Yeah, hence why they're called the old ones.
And it is a grim dank of the future. If you want to live, be an asshole.
Yeah, apparently. Well, ain't that the truth? Um, it is believed by some of the Adeptus Mechanicus, which is the little red dudes that believe in the technology god.
Correct.
Yes, that even Terra, which is obviously the homeworld of Earth,
Mm-hmm.
felt the old one's touch long before humanity rise to self-awareness. Oh, okay. Through this notion, it is considered heretical at best. Really?
Heretical at best by the ecclesiarchy.
The which one? Okay, so what is the ecclesiarchy?
So the ecclesiarchy, that is what formed basically around the time of when the emperor got put on the throne, and then everything afterwards. So they are the ones who came up with that the emperor, he's not a man, he's actually a god, and in human form. And he does this, and then the emperor protects and all that kind of stuff. And it's sort of funny in this universe, if quite often, especially if you're an orc or a battle sister or other people, if you believe in something hard enough, if you have enough people believing, some things actually do come true.
Right, that's technically what orcs and um was it Battle Sisters that are called?
Yeah.
That?
They're two kind of similar but different things. Like, so the Battle Sisters, that their faith is just that strong. Sometimes miracles can happen to them because they believe so hard in the Emperor and they can do shit, which is actually really cool how stuff sort of happens. And, believe the God Emperor and he'll protect us. Send his angels. And sometimes he actually does.
Okay.
Where the orcs, they have sort of like, the best way I sort of describe it, each orc has like this field around them.
Yeah, okay, so I heard about this. It's
it's basically
have so much psychic energy around them.
Yeah, they have a bullshit magic force field around them. If they believe in anything, it becomes true.
Right. So glad that they're dumb as dog shit.
That's why, like, quite often, like, people would get, like, orc guns, and they would look at them and, like, this thing doesn't even fucking work. Like, the bullets go backwards. But because the orc believes it shoots that way, it's going to shoot that way.
That way, yeah.
Like, they could do something. That's why so many people love the orcs, just for the shenanigans.
I love the one story. Now, this is the one story I know about the orcs. Is I think it was some sort of siege that was going on, and they were held down in trench warfare, and all they hear is one of the orcs screaming, "I'm a tank! I'm a tank! I'm a tank! I'm a tank!" and he becomes a tank.
Yep.
Like that right there is like my spirit animal, just in like game form, which is amazing.
I know of the story. I need to actually read it, but yeah, that's a pretty popular one. I'm a tank. I'm a tank. I'm a tank. I actually know of certain other creators who have a T-shirt line.
Well, and there's also that other one where they, instead of when they run out of bullets, so they just start saying bang, and then they believe it so much they fall over dead.
Well, my favorite orc story is where they pull up with another dude and they're doing repairs, and this guy sort of sticks his nose out and notices none of the orcs have helmets or anything. They're out in space. They're not using helmets or anything. They just get out, they unwind their windows, and they start this fix shit. He's like, you need helmets because there's no oxygen, right? All the orcs look up and then just immediately die.
It's funny
because they didn't know.
Like, they can literally just do space drive-bys.
Literally, yes. They literally they believe that they don't need oxygen. They don't need oxygen. Or there's oxygen in space. Like,
I love orcs.
Does not even affect their reality remotely. And that's why so many people, love them.
Yeah, they're funny. I like it. Okay, so where we're continuing.
The ecclesiarchy.
The ecclesiarchy, as the imperial creed teaches that mankind was made in the image of the god emperor. Right. So technically he was just an emperor, but because they created a faith around him, he then became classed as god emperor.
Yeah.
Okay. Before his spirit was incarnated in a physical flesh millennia ago. Okay. Right. So technically he was just a normal human running around, but he's just like, hey,
Well, technically, no. So there's a whole rabbit hole we can go down with the emperor, but he was actually sort of made.
Really?
He wasn't born a regular Joe.
So, okay. Super soldier style.
No, actually, way in before that. Like, back like before Jesus.
And yet they made okay.
But you know what, like churches like he was the emperor before he walked amongst men.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, you pipe up the faith. You know, if you start believing that if the emperor wasn't the first god or the only god, it leads to doubt and questions.
And that's probably why they also technically were just like, hey, chaos doesn't exist because that's what they feed on.
Yes.
Like the knowledge of knowing is what they feed on.
Well, not even so much. Oh, there isn't. So I understand. Like there is an aspect like certain beliefs do affect them, but not as much as you would imagine.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Like basic human instinct affects the chaos gods more than you just believing if they exist or not.
Yeah.
Cool. Like Khorne, like if you go out into war and slaughter 100,000 people, Khorne's very happy. Doesn't care if you believe him or not. He's very happy. Blood for the blood god.
Blood for the blood god. Skulls for the skull throne.
Yeah, so like or Slanesh, like whole spiel is anything in excess makes her happy. Too much pride, too much happiness, too much gluttony, anything in excess.
Well, technically it's not pride, it's called zeal.
Same thing.
Yes, well, same thing, but they class it as zeal, which is an interesting way of
to her, same thing.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah,
like
anything basically in excess. They what they just love. I don't think they actually have a gender.
Well, okay. Interesting. Do you want me to just read the last part?
Go for it.
I think the next one. Okay. The Old One civilization reached its height in excess of 60 million standard years ago. Wow, that's a long time.
Oh, yeah.
The Old Ones were responsible for the creation of or genetic advancement of most of the current active intelligent species of the galaxy, including the Eldari, the Croc.
The Croc.
What? Okay, I will ask that in a second. Hang on. Orcs.
Precursors.
The Orcs precursors. Okay, so not Orcs itself. The Slain,
Slan, I believe.
Slan, and then the Jacario.
Jukero?
Jakiro.
Something like that.
Though it is known
Unknown.
It is unknown if they played a direct role in the evolution of humanity. Okay. I know the Eldari, because obviously that's the elves. Then the Orc precursors, are they technically just the ancestors of the Orcs?
Yeah, see, the Orc ancestors, from what I understand, were fucking monumentally big and powerful.
Okay. But they weren't dumb.
No.
Oh, okay. So they were very intelligent. Okay.
From my understanding, yeah, big, powerful, like just made for war.
Wow. Okay, so war machines.
Quite literally.
Okay.
The other two, the Slan and the Jacairo, I don't know too much about them. Apparently, the Slan was an amphibious alien race who have some close but unknown connections to the Old Ones, a mysterious alien species or possibly group of distinct species who may be the first intelligent beings in the Milky Way galaxy. The Slan and the Elder Ones played a pivotal role in the history of many of the current intelligent races of the galaxy, including the Eldari, Jacario, humans, Orcs, and Necrons. Okay. So there was just another sort of amphibious race.
Okay. And then obviously Jakaro. So what's up?
Okay, so the Jakaro, there's actually a little figurine. It's kind of like a sci-fi orangutan. This is the picture I've got here. The Jakaro are an intelligent alien species who resemble the orange-furred great apes of old Earth as orangutans. I didn't even read it. Though lacking any known form of language, they are capable of tremendous feats of technological construction and manipulation, and specialize in the development of weapons technology, particularly in miniaturized weapons. The Jakaro are not a naturally evolved species, but were created by the Old Ones during the War in Heaven. Okay, so the Jakaro were made by the Old Ones.
Oh, so they weren't even like a species that was helped to grow, like a creature. They were literally created by the Old Ones.
Made for a purpose.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. So quite literally, these are the grease monkeys of an entire army, to be put bluntly.
Basically an engineer.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I guess that makes sense considering, we did read that the old ones had like technology, you know, and then they had the means to help. So I guess creating a species that was basically really good with technology would have helped out when they couldn't, like, or when
Yeah,
they didn't have the time to. It
having a,
makes more sense.
having a species so adept at building shit and rapidly, and then have that in a galaxy, a universe-wide sort of scale. Like you have this army, this entire race could just building all these warp gates and technologies and civilizations. Like,
So
yeah,
technically, they created a species to pass down the knowledge that they already had.
yeah. They just need someone. I would assume they just need someone, yeah, with numbers and better actual. They're built to make things, so like they probably have bigger fingers, shit like that. Okay,
Probably tougher skin or something like that. You know what I mean?
yeah, or anything along those lines. But it's very cool, though. I didn't actually know about those two.
That's interesting. Well, I mean, we're reading it, so that's
Well,
interesting, though.
yeah,
Having-
we've learned something new already. Actually, a few things. All right, so I'll take the next one: the Necrontyr and the War of Secession.
Oh,
There we
okay. So
go.
this is where the dark shit starts.
Oh yeah, so basically, I'll read the paragraph here for those who are watching too. By the way, we're currently going off the 40K wiki. I've read some of the books, but like there's like hundreds of books, so we're going with the wiki to save us all some grief.
Yes.
We should have said that earlier. We have 30 minutes ago, but we're
reference
here.
it. Let's just reference it real quick. I mean,
But basically, from what I understand, do you want me to give you the summary of what I understand of the Necrons, or should we just read it together?
okay. So for one, I want to kind of like, you give me your summary of the Necrons, and then we'll go from this, and then I'll see if I can like piece it together. See how much you know.
Okay, so what I basically know about the Necrons is basically before they were robots, they basically had really bad space cancer, and it was genetic. It was wiping out their species. Like most people, I think they're between 10 and 30, and you were dead in that period.
Oh,
It was really bad. Like even when they advanced enough to even leave the home system, they could go to the other side of the galaxy, and that cancer was still killing their descendants. It was really, really, really bad.
Damn. So no matter, even if it was just like,
It was genetic.
oh jeez. Okay, so technically, well, that would mean that all of them technically had it. Just whether you died or not was on chance.
Pretty much. And there's no way to get around it. So
we're just cursed with that shit.
So from what I understand is, they were this space cancer, couldn't do anything about it. Then eventually they found, I'm pretty sure it was the old ones, so the reptile people. They asked them for help. The old ones said, "Get fucked."
Damn.
And then they
Okay,
were
now
really
it's starting to get dark.
They were really, really mad about that. So eventually, in their travels, somehow they stumbled onto the Satan. The energy vampires. As the Satan are like, okay, we don't actually like those guys. Sure, we'll help you. We'll help you get rid of your cancer.
At a price.
Yeah. So like, we'll put you in these things. We'll make you good. You'll have all your thoughts, everything. You'll just be in better bodies. And they basically put their entire civilization into giant furnaces to basically just create Terminator robots that, for many of the like lower class average people, completely wiped who they were. Not only their memories, everything was gone, including their souls, because sitting above the foundries were the Satans feeding on the Necrontyr souls. And then they would have this army to take on the old ones.
Yo, that's fucked up.
Yeah, they literally.
So not only did they trick them, they created a sustainable food source for themselves.
Not sustainable. They had a giant
They
feast.
just wanted to eat. Yeah, damn. They literally just.
They powered up on all those souls, and then all right, let's go to war.
And then just created, the machines from them.
What do you mean?
Or they just ended up building the machines instead.
They helped the Necrons make the foundries that made the machines, and they put the people into the machines.
And then just took their souls.
Yeah, so as they were being like sort of transferred, like they're basically just putting the energy into an empty vessel, but everything else was gone, it's just ready to be consumed by.
So basically they're just shoving their brain in it, but would like factory reset in the brain before they shove it.
Yeah, basically they put you in so the lights turn on, but everything that makes you is eaten.
Jesus, fuck that.
But funnily enough, to what I understand, a few of the Necrons that were put in these machines, like a lot of like the higher ups and the royalties and the generals, they retained some of who they were and what their past lives were, and they were pissed.
I mean, wouldn't you be? You've been stuck into a metal body watching practically everything you know get eaten from like these giant, well, star vampires.
Yeah.
And then you just have to sit there and watch it because, like, you know, what can you do? I guess other
Nothing.
than build weapons and, you know, start.
So, well, quite literally, they just literally bide their time and wait.
Imagine that. And the thing is, they can't die. Well, technically, they can't die of old age.
Nope.
So they would technically. It's kind of like the whole fucking coffin thing when it comes to a dreadnought. They literally had to sit there and watch this shit happen and can't do anything about it in like a metal prison, practically.
Pretty much. And that's why,
messed.
and that's why, like, many Necrons are quite literally millions and millions of years old.
Yeah, so
like, and some
the
of
ones
them
that we see, we don't actually know their age because they could.
No, not even close. And some of them have slept. Others, periodically would get up and down. Some have been awake the entire time. So you just think being conscious
for
and alert millions of years. Like, holy shit. Oh, well, that's the sort of thing about the higher ups. They have autonomy. Like, you'll never have the sensations of like feeling the wind or consuming food or water or anything. But your mind is there, so you would learn to adapt. You would think of things differently. Like, court for Necrons literally takes centuries.
I mean, they have centuries.
You know? Exactly. This is like in 300 years, we need Jeremy to take the stand so he could tell us about what happened 700 years ago. Quite literally.
Why are you bringing Jeremy into this? What is with your fascination at now, Jeremy? Leave Jeremy out of this.
Because Jeremy is cross-campaign. Jeremy is from our D&D sessions.
He's canon event.
But yeah, so Necrons, they look at the time very, very differently.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Would they technically class that? They wouldn't have a concept of time then either, wouldn't they? The only things that would know is that things are dying very quickly. For them, they'd be like,
yes.
You
know, from my understanding, yes.
That's crazy. Like, that's really hard to fathom because obviously, technically, we haven't been in that position. That's really, really hard to like try and get a gist of like just how messed up that would feel. And imagine like just to start off with, like you have to try to adapt to this. Like just the amount of them that would have gone like either insane.
Many have.
But that's the thing. And then they just kind of live that way. That just becomes their norm. Like they actually start looking and acting like robots.
Yeah. Or for some, the reverse. They kind of regress, or not so much regress, like it's called, it's kind of like a virus in many ways. They start, have you heard of the flayed ones?
That has come up before from
basically it's kind of like an itch you can't scratch. So they start like trying to consume food and drink again, but they can't. Yeah. So it's that never-ending itch. It keeps pulling at you. So you keep trying to eat food and drink, and you're trying to like rub the skin on your arm, but you can't because it's metal. So you start like putting other people's flesh on you, so you see skin again. Like basically, you go insane, like reverse cannibal.
So in other words, they literally want to go back to being organic.
In many ways, that's what they remember. And being in the machine, it's fucking with them. It's so trippy. Like when we get to the flayed ones, it's like woof. It's bad. It's like consciously being a zombie.
Oh, but like knowing where you are and what you're doing.
In many ways. Fuck. That's my understanding. I'm probably a little bit off
for them.
Oh yeah,
like,
it's
really weird because in a way I had like this hate for the Necrons. Not like a hate, but like I kind of felt against the Necrons. Like I had to be against them because I thought, and this is probably very, very hypocritical considering I thought they were evil. I genuinely thought everything they did was evil. But now now actually looking at like just getting a little brief history, not even going into the actual like full-on history of like the Necrons themselves, I feel really bad for them. Like they were tricked into like prison.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Eternity of a prison. Like,
See, ironically too, is like, well, one in the Grim Dank in the future, everyone is basically evil.
yeah. Well, see, that's what I'm saying. Like,
the Tau are the closest things to being the good boys, and that's why everyone actually hates them. That and because of Gundam.
Oh, they have They have Gundams.
They have their own mechs and shit. That's
Okay.
why a lot of people hate them, because it's all dank and gothic and evil. And then you have this race of aliens who are like, let's work together, and they have like clean, pristine mech suits and.
Well, I mean, technically, I know it's their they've had their fair share of shitty things, but technically, the Salamanders are technically the good boys of the Space Marines.
Oh yeah, but they casually just set people on fire.
Well, that's their MO, man. Like, their armor comes with like flamethrowers.
Yeah, they say they're good boys, but they're fucking horrible people still.
Yeah, it's
just they do a lot of bad things. Their ammo is being carried by prosthetic, babies. Had their brains ripped out and shit.
That's that whole convict thing, though, isn't it?
They're the cherubs.
They're cherub. Oh, okay. They're the winged babies, right? The flame
stuff like that. Like, you condone that, you're fucked.
Well, true. I mean,
lobotomy. That's what was the word I was thinking of.
Yeah, lobotomy. I mean, but what brains? Because it doesn't isn't like a criminal's brain put into the skull of the baby, and then reset practically. Like,
I don't think it's a criminal's brain, but I do know like many criminals and stuff like that. They get even worse, like lobotomized. They get like their arms cut off, and it's like wires and shit. Like, they're made to suit a purpose. You're just you are a living robot. Your whole thing. You may have been a murderer.
Doors.
Yeah.
Like, the guys literally become door handles.
Some do.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like it dank. The dankest of dank.
Dank.
You said
Not the
dank
that we're normally used to. Just very grim.
All right, so let's do the Necrons here.
All right.
So, the humanoid species that would become the Necrons began their existence until under a fearsome, scourging star in the far reaches of the galaxy known as the Halo Star regions. I didn't actually know the name of that. That's fucking awesome.
That's a cool fucking
name. Halo Stars. That's cool.
Halo Stars.
Billions of standard years before humanity evolved on Terra, assailed at every moment by solar winds and intense radiation storms, the flesh and blood species known as the Necrotier became a morbid people whose precarious lifespans were riven by a constant loss. While little information of the Imperial man is recovered over the Necrotier tells that their lives were short and uncertain, their bodies blighted and consumed at an early age by the terrible cancers and other illnesses linked to high levels of ionizing radiation given off by their sun. So yeah, literally, they must have not had like a magnetic field or anything.
Okay, so in other words, you're right with the whole cancers and stuff, but the start of it was caused by the solar flares and the solar storms.
Yeah,
because of that cosmic radiation.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense. So yeah, technically like humans, but without this giant like atmosphere to like protect us.
Yeah. See, our magnetic field does so much to protect us.
Oh hell yeah! Like
without it, we are boned in seconds.
And yet these guys obviously didn't have one, but like survived in ways.
Or maybe they did, but it was weaker.
Oh, that could be true. Considering that you'd get cancer. Well, I mean, it makes sense with the like cosmic cancer.
Yeah.
If you had like a weaker version, they'd be prone to getting the cancer. Or
maybe they had a bigger star and their planet was closer. Like, it could be anything. Like, we don't really know.
That makes more sense.
So from what basic knowledge I sort of knew, looks like I was kind of on the money.
Yeah, from how it started, yeah, you were basically hitting the head on like a very roundabout way, but like you still nailed it.
So we got the Necrotier cities were built in anticipation of their inhabitants' early demise, as the living were only brief residents scratching their daily livelihoods in the shadow of vast sepulchres and tombs of their ancestors. Likewise, their ruling dynasties were founded on the anticipation of an early death, and the living was thought of as no more than temporary residents hurrying through the more permanent and lasting structures raised to honor the dead. On the Necrotier homeworld, the greatest monuments were built for the dead, never the living.
Okay, so this is how technically they became Necrotiers, is because they literally lived in catacombs. That's it.
Yeah.
They never lived in like actual like man-made houses. Everything was built for the dead.
Which which I kind of find the correlation between that and like ancient pharaohs and mummies and shit like that, like.
I get that. I
Because
totally
the
understand.
aesthetic, that's what the relation I was making.
Oh yeah, from Space Marine 2 with the little pyramids on the ground.
Yeah,
That's right.
but so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were literally there for a short time. Like you're born. Hey, yeah, the third column over the left. That's where we're gonna bury you in about 5 years. Like
Yeah, so it's pretty much
yikes.
just said, hey, you're gonna go live. You're gonna go like sleep in that fucking corridor next to your dead grandparent.
Yeah,
Like
Oof.
that's Jesus, these guys
so-
had it fucking rough.
So which actually adds a lot of gravity to this sort of thing. So like if you hear like a super mega powerful race that can do anything, they can seed planets and terraform things at a snap of a finger, you'd fucking leave the chance for help.
Fuck yeah. Not only that, most of the civilizations that they were helping build had it fucking easy.
Yeah.
Like these guys were helping, like technology was thriving and you know, and we're living and we're cultivating and shit like that. And while the Necrons over here like fucking begging for help, while like literally sleeping next to their fucking ancestor, just waiting for the day to die.
Yeah, it is really messed up.
Fuck. I genuinely like feel bad for the Necron.
The irony is like a similar sort of vein. Like I used to sort of hate the Necrons too, not because of the story or anything like that. When I used to play Dawn of War years ago, my brother, he used to always pick the Necrons, and they were hard to keep down. But I played the Tau, so like they were hard to keep down. But I'm shooting you from a million miles away, so you've got to even get to me.
Yeah, true.
So it was kind of a stalemate. If he got in close with a lot of his units, I was screwed. But he had to get there. Which is kind of like, it's kind of the caveat of the Tau. Like in melee, they're fucking horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I guess all of them have their strengths and weaknesses. It just makes sense. You've got to balance them somehow.
Exactly.
But like lore wise, that's kind of fucked up. Like you're placing the Tau, which seem to be kind of not going through hardship in my opinion. Like sounds like it.
The Tau story is actually, it's pretty in comparison to this universe, it's tame as shit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And then you're putting them up against a race that's just had it fucking rough. Like, I say fucking rough, but literally, these guys had the bottom of the barrel, not even picking up breadcrumbs. They're licking dust crumbs.
Yeah.
Just
the relation I was making was like why I wasn't a big fan of the Necrons is because my brother played them. It's kind of like Mortal Kombat. He always played Scorpion. I was Sub-Zero. It's that mortal sort of thing. But once you go down the rabbit hole, it's like, okay, Necrons are kind of cool now.
Yeah. I mean, they're cool.
But it was that dynamic is why I never was big on them.
Yeah.
Until recently. Actually, probably last year or two.
Shall I continue?
Sure.
All right. Driven by necessity, the Necroteers escaped their crucible prison and it's where we are up there, right?
Yes.
Yes. All right, and struck out for the stars. Hopeful and craving out. Carving. Sorry, dyslexia is a bitch, man.
That's right.
Hopeful and of carving out an empire in which they could realize their species' freedom from the lethal energies of their birth star. Okay, so technically they were just born into their star. They just didn't leave. That makes more sense.
Yeah, that was
stasis crypts. That sounds important. And slow-moving antimatter powered torch ships. Damn, I wonder how long it took them to build that. If they were just like had a short lifespan, that's crazy. That were clad in the living metal known as
necrodermis.
Necrodermis is technically what they're made out of now.
Yes.
Okay.
From right.
Which makes sense considering if they can survive in space. To resist the millennia-long journeys through the void, the Necroteer began to colonize distant worlds. Okay, so technically they're doing the exact same thing, trying to get away so they can survive.
Yeah. Yeah, but so what you were saying earlier, it was correct. Like, yeah, they were born in their star system. They were getting the space cancer from the sun, and eventually, like, they developed enough. Like, okay, we need to get out of here. If we can get away from the sun, maybe there's hope.
My camera is going blurry. Hang on.
All right, hold it there for a second, like let it focus on your hand, and then snap away. There you go.
Oh shit!
It's an old
Tech
trick.
tips, tech tips with Dax. No, but like, okay. So I just want to pull it back a little, real quick.
Go.
These guys had stasis crypts, slow-moving, antimatter-powered torch ships, right?
Yep.
If we're going back and looking about like the age life of a normal Necroteer, these guys didn't live very long. So either they were extremely intelligent, or they literally this took them fucking thousands of years to fucking even do, and they would have to have kept fucking teaching to keep doing it. Holy shit! That like, I mean, that put in the hard work. That's for sure.
It's generations of like, hey, we need to get the fuck out of here.
That makes more sense now.
Let's all just come together and let's just try what little time we have left. Write down fucking everything. And then yeah, you would have to have stasis because they're short lifespans. If you don't have fast in life or travel through the warp or anything, you get to the edge of the system and you'd be dead. So yeah, you would have to go to stasis to get to the next place.
Yeah.
And hope nothing destroys the ship or your black hole or anything.
Yeah, true. Like, you don't just jump out into a fucking black hole.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they were literally just point and pray. That's all they fucking did.
Pretty much. I'll take the next one. Little by little, the Necrontyr dynasty spread even further until much of the ancient galaxy answered to their rule. From the earliest days, the rulers of individual Necrontyr dynasties were themselves governed by the Triarch, a council composed of 3 Necron dynasty monarchs known as Pharaons. The head of the Triarch was known as the Silent King. Ooh, he's fun. You'll find out about him later.
Okay, just pause real quick. Definitely touching back on the whole Egyptian feel with the Pharaons. Keep going.
For he addressed his subjects only through the other 2 Pharaons who ruled alongside him. Nominally a hereditary position, the uncertain lifespans of the Necrontyr ensured that the title of Silent King nonetheless passed from one royal dynasty to another many times. The final days of the Necrontyr Empire occurred in the reign of Sarek, the last of the Silent Kings.
So it was the guy's name was Sarek.
Yeah, so they managed to expand out over time.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know. Some of these names are crazy.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Zarek. So they managed to, they got out, they started expanding their empires and their influence, whatnot, even though it's still the very tiny lifespans, they're trying to make it work somehow. Cool.
Right, but the way they sounded, like, they literally started just ruling over them.
Yeah, well, you got to do something.
Conquest, I guess. I mean, I guess when you've got that much hardship, you don't fucking choose peace before violence, that's for sure.
Yeah, if you got to try and say...
You got to do what you got to do.
Exactly, you do what you got to do.
Yeah, that makes... I mean, that's cool, though. Like, they pretty much formed the Triarch, which is obviously 3, the Silent Kings.
1 Silent King.
1 Silent King, 3 Pharaons.
2
Pharaons.
Yeah. Yeah, the head of the Triarch head of the
Triarch, and then Pharaons. Okay.
So, yeah, one sat above the other 2, and the other 2 did the talking.
Right, which then the Silent King, which is just purveyed to the other 2 Trions, they pretty much did the dirty work. Well,
yeah.
Purveyed.
So, the Silent King is actually, he's really cool when you hear about him later. He brings some shit.
Oh, this is, okay, here we go. Sometime during the slow interstellar expansion, the Necroteer encountered an ancient species far older than any other in existence in the known galaxy. These beings were the Old Ones. Okay, so this is now when they meet.
I got it right. Yay!
And they were absolute masters of forms of energy the Necroteer could not even conceive of yet alone wield. Okay, so these guys are now bringing energies to them, and they're like, "Holy fuck, this existed!" And yet and there's no point even trying to wield it because
they probably saw him like warp in or like bend the very light itself to dimensionally travel. Like, yeah, they were probably doing all sorts of shit, and these guys are like, "Holy fuck! It took us 20 years just to get here, and you just
and you just did it in an instant." That's crazy.
Yeah.
The Old Ones had long ago conquered the secrets of. So these guys were immortal.
I was wondering about that. I didn't actually know.
Yeah, okay, so it says the Old Ones long ago conquered the secrets of immortality. Okay. Yet they refused to share the gifts of eternal life with the Necroteer. There you go. That's when they pretty much begged for help and then the old ones said get fucked. So technically they just didn't want another species to outlive, like to pretty much become a threat, maybe.
Yes. Well, may as well finish the rest of the sentence.
Who yet bore the genetic curse of the bitter star that they had been born under. Okay, so yeah, so you were right. So the star that they were born under now became a genetic curse.
Yeah.
And then the old ones popped in. They're like, "Hey, holy shit, you have abilities that we've never seen. Please, we want you. We need your help. Like, because you are immortal. We would like your help. We would like the ability to enter eternal life." And then the old ones were like, "Yeah, no."
I'm kind of wondering too if it was more like, instead of just like, hey, help us cure, our blood curse or whatever this is, they went straight to like, hey, can we be immortal too? We got this great empire over here. Yeah, we're expanding. We're doing all these great things. And the old ones probably took one look at like, no, you're killing anything that moves. We don't want you. We don't want you to be immortal.
Yeah,
that's my interpretation. It's like, it sucks what you got.
Sense.
Like, where you're born, you can't help it. But like, if we make you immortal, you'll ruin everything.
Yeah, it'll be so much worse, and then we have to fight you.
Yes, I'm suspecting that's what they were thinking. I could be wrong.
And I think that it makes sense. This was a fucking in a gaming sense, it's a rage toggle.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, fuck you guys, we're going in.
Yeah.
All right. Did you want the next one?
Sure. The colonization of much of the galaxy by the reptilian mystics had been immeasurably swifter and more expansive than that of the Necroti because of their warp gates and the mastery of the Immaterium. That and the Old Ones' incredibly long, if not downright immortal lifespans, kindled a burning, jealous rage in the Necroti, which aided their culture spiritually as much as their physical cancers consumed their bodies. Necroti were astonished to learn that another intelligent species enjoyed such long lives while their own were cut so brutally short.
Literally what we were just talking about, practically.
Yeah, I'll read the next one too.
Yeah, you go for it.
But as time wore on, further strife came to the Necroti. Each dynasty sought to claim its own destiny, and soon the great houses were engaged in all-out conflicts known as the Wars of Secession. As circumstances remain as they were for more but a generation more, it is possible the Necroti would have wiped themselves out, as so many species had before them and shall do in the future. As their territory grew ever wider and more diverse, and the unity that made them stronger was eroded, and bitter wars waged as entire realms fought to win independence.
Okay, so instead of like working together to like get this secret from them, it literally just became civil war.
Yeah, probably on
war, practically.
Yeah, probably on what to do. Like, it's like you finally hear like there's you resigned to this life. Like, in 20 years, I'm 2 years old. In 20 years, I'm mince. Like, there's nothing I can do about it. No, wait a minute.
Yeah,
there are things out there that they're living for almost forever. Like, we need this. Like, it would consume your very being. That thought. Like, if we can get one of them, get the secret. But then you would have others like, no, that's their way of life, not ours. Yeah. So it would not surprise me. Yeah, something like that would literally drive people fucking insane. As a parent and myself, like, if something's wrong with my children and some prick across the road had the answer, you're damn right I'm going across the road and having a conversation.
Give it to me.
So you can, when you start looking at it the sort of ways, like, you can it will drive you nuts.
Yeah, like just having, it's more of like that thought, like, they've got the knowledge and yet they still won't share it to you. And you just, that burning sensation to know drives you wild. I totally understand that feeling, like that want to know about more, what they've got. Which also makes more sense as well. Like, the old ones were watching all this and they were like, yeah, we were right. Like, if we just sit back and watch, you guys are going to wipe yourselves out. And then, you're not worthy of being uplifted or anything like that because you're nuts. You're killing each other over dumb shit. Yeah. And then
we'll sit back and wait for the next lot.
Yeah, they'll just probably zapped out of there like, yep, fuck you, bye.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I got this one. Ultimately, the Triarch realized that the only hope for unity for their people lay in conflict with an external enemy. But there was few who could prove the credibility.
Credible.
Is it credible threat? Credibility. Why did I say? Okay. Credible threat to the technologically advanced Necroti. Only the old ones were this is what we were talking about. Only the old ones were a prospective foe, powerful enough to bind the feuding Necron dynasties to a common cause. Such a war was
Simplicity itself.
itself to justify. Okay, so they were just like, I mean, this is justified. Go fucking do it.
Yeah, like the only way we could bring our people together is if we all get together and kill them.
Yeah. For the Necrotier had even
Rankled
the old one's refusal to share the secrets of eternal life. Holy shit, that hurt my brain.
Yeah, let me try that. For the Necrotier had ever rankled at the old one's refusal to share the secrets of eternal life. Okay, so they were saying more like, they're just irritation.
Yeah, so they're pissed off.
And I've never said the word rankled, but
That's
okay.
a very interesting. I mean, I guess it sounds smart, but like when I'm reading it, I don't know what fucking rankled means.
Unless someone's actually went to write wrangled, like had ever wrangled at the old one's refusal. That makes more sense. Maybe that was a typo.
I mean, there's a typo. Yeah.
No, maybe.
All right, can you get the next one because my brain hurts.
So it was that Zarek, the last of the Silent Kings, in a typically bitter act of jealousy and resentment for the Necrotier race, declared war on the Old Ones. At the same time, he offered amnesty to any secessionist Necrotier dynasties who willingly returned to the fold of the Triarch. Thus, lured by the spoils of victory and the promise of immortality, the separatist Necrotier realms abandoned their wars of secession and was at what was later known as the War in Heaven began. A conflict like any fought before erupted across the stars. Yet while the Silent King and the Triarch had succeeded in uniting their hateful people, it was a war the Necrotier could not win, not on their own.
This is so technically they're like, hey, fuck you, we're going to war with God.
Yeah, these immortal beings. They're leaving us to rot. Fucking everyone come in. Like, look, whatever you did, you killed Jem across the road. I don't give a fuck. Come help us. Beat them. Fair enough. I can get behind that.
I mean, I can too. Like, I mean, it makes more. It's a very logical action to take. They're like, hey, if you won't give us it, we'll take it.
Yeah. What's the term? Unity through hatred.
I mean, it could be just unity through bloodshed at this point because
that's what I was looking at.
Waters.
Yeah. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So we got the War in Heaven, and this is a big one.
Yeah,
this is setting the stage for a lot of the universe.
Right. Okay. So we diving in.
Well, we're already an hour in. I think for our first volley, I think we should probably stop there because the War in Heaven, we're probably going to be here for another 2-3 hours easily.
I mean, we could probably just have a discussion about it just to keep.
Sure. Let's do a bit of a recap. Yeah, what we've sort of done. Yeah. So we've learned about the Necrotier, the old ones. But very brief. We got a little bit on the Satan, the energy vampires. So they're just out there. They're just floating around, sucking up suns. They don't care.
Yeah. So while this is all going on, they're still destroying suns.
Yeah, through the whole universe, like wherever they want to go. So like really cool stuff. Like once you start like getting down the boot.
But so from what I've noticed, it went old ones, right? Oh, sorry, it was the like kind of the galactic vampires,
Satan, old ones, Necrons,
old ones, Necrons, and then the other races were obviously after the Necrons.
Yeah.
Because like then there were like the Eldari and stuff like that.
I assume that there probably were like other minor races getting around because the whole time the old ones they're getting around, they're seading planets, they're making species.
Oh, so but
there's probably nothing on. There's probably nothing like spacefaring yet.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is going on is it's gone the galaxy vampires, old ones, Necrons in there like at the point where they're struggling. Then it's like a little bit of like the space thing. It goes to like the world terraforming, practically like the world conquering and stuff like that. That's when the conquering happens. It's then they're creating the other species on the other side, and then the old ones show themselves like kind of down here, and they'll like give us the thing while these guys are already kind of like civilized.
Possibly,
if I'm trying to line up the time from what I've like seen in like the War of Heavens, because it says like followed, known later in Eldari myth. So I mean, I guess these guys like kind of learnt about it.
Yeah.
So either, something's happened and the old ones have recorded it, which probably makes more sense because these guys sound pretty fucking smart.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah, if you have the ability to travel dimensions on a whim and live practically forever.
Using psychic energy too, like.
Yeah, like, and we haven't even like gotten down the rabbit hole of the warp yet and what that does and like how things actually tap into it. Like, we've got a whole caboodle to go through, but like, I'm keen as biscuits for the next episode. We go down the rabbit hole of the war in heaven. Like, this is where it gets juicy. I think
So
I don't know. I don't know if they've been made yet, or this is where they make them, the Eldari and the orcs.
Okay. So technically, like, well, I mean, it would make more sense if they need people to fight for them.
Yeah, see,
They'd make them,
or they've already made them, but they have to uplift them.
yeah, like come fight for your gods.
Yeah, so I'm not certain on that one, but I'm actually looking forward to it.
I mean, this is sick. Like, I mean,
Well,
this
fuck
is the thing. Like, I would never have expected it to start this way. Like, 100%. Where I thought it started was genuinely, I thought it started with the God Emperor himself. Like,
Dude,
each one of them had like a separate god, and God Emperor's just like, all right, time to fucking
no.
let's go. I guess it's technically. I guess that's also because the Space Marines are very prominent when it comes to things. When you think Warhammer,
Yeah.
it's always Space Marines.
Yeah, well, that's the annoying part of 40k is whenever there's marketing, it's always around the fucking Space Marines because they're the biggest faction and they're the most recognizable.
Oh, I also learned something very interesting.
Mhm.
Technically, the Ultramarines that you play at in Space Marines too.
Yeah, the bluebies.
Are nothing fucking special. The only reason they're special is because they have done more of the campaigns and yet have the largest fucking force.
Yes.
That's literally all that they have going for their name right now.
The Ultramarine.
Gilliman.
Yeah, the Ultramarines.
Oh, hang on, I take that back. So Gilliman, the Ultramarines technically wrote the Codex.
Yeah,
Was it?
Gilliman wrote the Codex Astartes. So basically, that was after the Horus Heresy. Basically, he wanted to break up each legion to stop, like, if there was any other, like, bad Primarchs or, corrupted people or whatnot, it would stop them from basically going across the galaxy with 10,000 Space Marines in their pocket. Or more, like 100,000.
Which, also, when it comes to those two squads that were technically erased, I like how they, in lore canon, sent the Space Wolves to do it, and the Space Wolf got rid of them.
Mm.
That's cool, because technically that's also playing on the Space Wolves name as the, like, Space Marine Executioners.
I'm not actually sure. Like, I know the Space Wolves did a lot of stuff, but I don't know if they actually got rid of the two mystery legions.
I was listening to. I want to get the channel name right because it's a great channel. They're called More Law.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, shout out to More Law. But I was listening to a bit, like just the factions of the Adeptus Astartes. That's all I was listening to because I like it. I got something to listen to at work. And the one fact that I took away from it is that the Space Wolves were the executioners sent by the Emperor to eradicate the two factions that are technically missing.
I didn't actually know that. I knew they were the Emperor's executioners.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. There was like there's a corresponding where the Space Wolves have gotten rid of. I think it was one of them, and the other one kind of just fell apart during the Horus Heresy. But I know one of the Space Wolves did get rid of one of them.
I'm pretty sure from what I heard as well, one of those legions, basically once it was sort of destroyed, many of the forces from it was absorbed by the Ultramarines, and I think another legion got them as well. That's why their numbers were so big. They absorbed the other ones.
Yeah, so technically, next session is Necron Night. Because technically, literally, it's all about the Necrons for the next, like, 200 paragraphs. I was just kind of skimming down. It says Necron Descendant, stuff like that.
Yeah, we got biotransference. It's like we got a lot to go through. So I may have to speed up.
Night.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big sesh, but
yeah,
I'm down. It's fun.
I mean, I'm like I said, this is I'm new to this. You know what I mean? Like as someone who's going into with only little to no info on the Warhammer Space Marines. By the way, anybody that's out there seeing this that actually loves this and is like trying to criticize my choices. Remember, I'm fucking new to this. The only time I've ever seen this was actually Warhammer Space Marine 2 when I started playing with Dax here. Um, but like, why? Where was this hiding? You know what I mean? Like all this information that I could have learned. Where the fuck was this? I mean, like, this is awesome. You know what I mean? Like,
Ironically,
this is so cool.
that's kind of the reaction of a lot of people who actually get into Warhammer. Like, actually, they dip the toe in, they like it, and then they go down the rabbit hole. And it's much that it's like, holy fuck, there's 40 years of books, stories, games, you name it. Like, it's just an unending wealth of stuff to go through.
I mean, I played the Space Marine 1 when that came out. Like, and then I think it was the other one that was out. I think it was like the Angels of Death or some shit like that. Can't remember. So please correct me if that's the right one, if you made it this far. But yeah, so I but like I never really got into it. I was just like, hey, it's a hack and slash shooter game, fighting orcs. You know what I mean? Like, it's just something I could beat the shit out of. But when I started going into Space Marine 2 and fighting the Tyranids and obviously playing it on your stream, I was so enthralled by like the information I was getting, and then I started again dipping my toe in, and holy shit, it was like the Kraken just fucking pulled me under. Like, I'm sinking, and I'm sinking fast.
But yeah, we're gonna have to definitely call that there. One, because first session, we're over an hour in. That's a good time frame to sort of make a start. Thank you very much to everyone coming in and hanging out and experiencing this with us. We got a long road ahead of us, a short time to get there.
40 years, apparently. Jesus.
Yeah.
40 years. That's a lot of episodes.
Yeah, we got a lot to cover. So, like, probably next episode, probably be like a good 2-hour session, easily, once we get into it. But I'm so down. I really enjoyed this. First episode of Hunchtacular. I don't know if I actually announced the name or not, but here we are. So thank you very much to everyone for hanging out tonight. My name is ct-dax. I put all the socials in the description of where you can find me. Oni, you got socials you want to plug?
I mean, not right now, but like in the future, I will probably have a few pages that we can probably get into. But yeah, I'm Ernie. Thank you for sticking around.
Thank you to everyone for watching and experiencing this with us. If you like this, or you have any suggestions of where we should start on different subjects or anything of such matter, let us know in the comment section below. Love you all. Everyone have a great night, and we'll catch you on the next one. Turtles.
Turtles.